like you're capable of more, but you don't have a clear path to get you there, you're in the right place. This is the Career Code Journey, and here I explain you everything you need to know to become a developer without rushing, guessing, or doing it alone. My name is Cindy de Albuquerque, and in today's episode, we are going to make a small program to calculate salary in Ireland. First of all, who am I? I've been working as a software engineer for 18 years. I've worked for companies from startups to big companies like Amazon. In the beginning of my career, I graduated at atmospheric sciences, but I wasn't happy, so I went back to the university and graduated in systems analysis and development. What is this topic? This is a practical guide to create a small program to calculate the employee's net salary in Ireland. The goal here is to take the gross salary, apply all the mandatory taxes and all deductions, such as pay-as-you-earn, pay-related social insurance, PRSI, and universal social charge, USC, to arrive at the amount that actually lands in the bank account. This topic serves as a perfect entry-level project for anyone who wants to start programming, because it uses basic logic and solves a real problem. What is this not about? It is not an advanced accounting course. It is not a promise that you'll build a complete and foolproof payroll system. It doesn't go deep into all the nuances of the Irish tax system. For example, specific personal deductions or complex tax credits. The idea here is not to create a solution for a company. This is a personal learning project, and with this project, you'll be able to apply the basic program concepts to solve a real problem. Why is this project an opportunity for you? First, because it solves a real pain point. Calculating net salary can be confusing. Creating a program for this doesn't just help you understand your own finances, but it can also be a useful tool for your community. Second, this is the perfect portfolio project. This is a practical project with a real-world application. It shows to your future employers that you understand programming, and also that you are able to identify problems and create solutions. And also with this project, you demonstrate programming logic. Calculating taxes requires the use of if-else logic, variables, and mathematics. It's the ideal project for learning. You might be thinking, this is too hard. I understand you might be feeling that this is too hard. But let me tell you something. This salary calculation program is one of the most highly recommended projects for beginners, because the logic behind it is simple. You enter a value, the salary. Then the program calculates all the taxes that are going to be deducted, and then the program performs the subtraction. It's like an improved calculator, and you can start with the basics. You don't have to start with everything. You can start with one thing at a time. One tax, then the other tax, then the other tax, and so on. Or you might also be thinking, I don't have time or I don't have energy for that. This project isn't a distraction from your goal. If your goal is to get into the tech industry, then this is what you have to be doing right now. The time invested here is not an expense. It's an investment for your professional qualification. A project like this in your portfolio can be the difference between a no and a job offer. What are the biggest mistakes people make while you're doing this project? First of all, trying to build a perfect system from the start. Many beginners try to consider all the tax informations, all the tax variables, and all the exceptions right away. This makes the project overly complex and demotivating. The ideal approach is to start with a simple program and slowly and gradually add more functionalities. Second mistake, not breaking the problems into parts. Salary calculation involves a lot of taxes and deductions. Trying to solve everything at once is a mistake. The correct way is to tackle one thing at a time. First, pay as you earn, then PRSI, then USC, and so on. Third mistake, focusing on the tool instead of the logic. Another common mistake is worrying too much about which programming language or framework to use. For this project, the most important thing is the logic. The tool in this case is secondary because most programming languages, for example Python, Java, .NET, can easily execute this task. So what is the right way to do this? The right way is to follow a structured step-by-step process. First thing, define the logic on paper. Before you even touch the computer, you have to understand the rules of the tax system. Research the Irish pay-as-you-earn, PRSI, and USC tax bands, and then write them down. Then we are going to manually calculate an example to make sure you understood the logic. Second, start with the basics. Choose a simple language like Python, JavaScript, and then you'll create a program that performs just one calculation. For example, the pay-as-you-earn. Third, add features gradually. Once the first part is working, the pay-as-you-earn, add the PRSI calculation. When that step is complete, you add the USC, and so on. Fourth, test and optimize. Use different salaries to test if your program is correct. If you find any errors, adjust the code. The first concrete step, so you can start immediately, is to research Ireland's tax system, the brackets and the deductions. Go to the official government website, revenue.ie, or to salary calculator websites, and then get the percentages and income bands for pay-as-you-earn, PRSI, and USC. This will give you the database foundation you need to start. I'm going to do the program here, but I highly recommend that you try to do it by yourself. This is the way that you're going to learn, if you understand and do by yourself, not if you copy what I do here. What I'll do here is for you to compare with your own solution, so you have a working version. Okay, I came here to the revenue.ie, where it says how the income tax is calculated. It's either if the person is paid weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. The same rules apply. How the tax is calculated. First, we have to apply the standard rate of 20% to the income, to the rate band. In this case, it says weekly, but it's for fortnightly or monthly. And then we have to apply the higher rate of 40% to any income above that rate band. And then having these two values, we are able to add them, and then we have the final tax. So what's missing here is the piece of the rate band. We have to find the values for the rate band. In the revenue.ie website, they explain what is a tax rate band. You have a certain amount. If your salary is below that band, it's taxed as only 20%. And if your salary is above that rate band, it means that up to that value, it will be taxed as 20%, and anything above that value will be taxed for 40%. You have to find what is your rate band. There are rate bands for single, married, or in a civil partnership, widowed. There are many tax rates. We'll start with the basics. There's the table here for all the tax rate bands. We're going to do only the 2026, and for the personal circumstance or of single or widowed or surviving civil partner without qualifying children. To make it simple, let's say this is a single person. So we are going to use the 44,000. If we have to do manually, what are we going to do? Let's say we have a person, Anne. Anne is single. Okay, so her tax band is 44,000 euros, as we saw in the revenue.ie. Let's suppose Anne's gross salary is 35,000 euros per year. So in this case, 35,000 is less than 44,000 euros. So that means that everything will be taxed with 20%. So the pay as you earn equals 35,000 times 20%. So I did the calculation here, and the percentage of the taxes is 7,000 euros. Okay, so we have the gross salary. Let me put it here. And then we have the first tax, the pay as you earn. So if we do the gross salary minus the pay as you earn, it means that it will be 35,000 euros minus 7,000 euros, which equals, this is 28,000 euros. So what did we do here? We got the gross salary, we compared it to the tax band, and we found out that it's less than the tax band. So we calculate the pay as you earn as 20%, we found that value, and then we subtract it from the gross salary. Let's do another example. Let's say Ben, he's also single. His tax band is also 44,000 euros. But what is his gross salary? Let's say he earns more than 44. Let's say he earns 55,000 euros per year. In this case, we have something different here. We have 55,000 is greater than 44,000. So it means that 44,000 euros will be taxed with 20%. And it also means that whatever we have more than 44,000 euros, which is 55 minus 44, because the first 44 was already taxed with 20%, and this extra amount will be taxed with 40%. Okay, so now let's calculate how much is 20% of 44,000 euros times 20% equals 8,800. But we have the second part here. This is 11,000 euros that will be taxed with 40%. And this means that the 40% is 4,400 euros. Now we have to add those two. So we have the 20% tax, the 20% tax plus the 40% tax. So in this case, it's 8,800 euros plus 4,400 euros, which adds up to 13,200 euros. Okay, now we have the tax, the pay as you earn tax. Now, to calculate the gross salary minus pay as you earn, all we have to do is to get this gross salary, 55,000 euros, minus the pay as you earn value, which is 13,200. And in the end, we get 41,800 euros. Okay, now we have two examples. We know how to do it manually. What we need to do now, we have to convert it to a logic way. So let's start with an. We're going to do here. I'll do it with Java because I have an accompaniment for people who work with Java. So I'll do it like this to make it consistent. We have to create the tax band. It will be a variable. I could use float or double here, but the thing is, double and float are not precise. So when we need precision in Java, we use big decimal. As we're dealing with money, we need the precision. We can't have cents in difference. We are going to have a big decimal here. and I'll call it tax band, and it will hold the value of 44,000 euros. So let's do it here. I'll create a new big decimal with 44,000. And Anne has a gross salary of 35, so we have to create another variable for it. Let's copy this and do gross salary. And 35,000 euros. So what we did here in this line, we compared the gross salary to the tax band. So what we did, if gross salary is less than tax band, actually in this case it's less equal. And what is less equal? It means that if it's less or if it's equal the tax band, then we are going to perform this logic here. This logic here. Okay. We'll have the pay as you earn, big decimal, pay as you earn, and this will be 35,000 times 20%. So 35 is the gross salary. So I will use here the gross salary. Multiply. I don't remember the syntax here, but we're going to the ID later and then we'll fix it. Then we'll multiply it by 0.2, which is 20%. Now we need to calculate the salary minus tax. So let's do something similar here. Big decimal. I'll call it net salary. I know it's not the end net salary, but we can call it here because we'll use it later. And then this will be gross salary minus the pay as you earn that we calculated here. The logic's here. Now we have to apply it for Ben as well and make the necessary changes. So I'm going to copy it here. And here we found something different. The gross salary is 55,000. So what we can do here, we are going to receive this value from the user. The user who is going to use our program will provide this gross salary. So we are going to put it to be received by the user, not to be hard-coded here. So to extract here, we are going to receive this as a parameter. Okay, so how I'm going to do that? I'm going to put it as a parameter in the method. The method here, I'm going to call it apply pay as you earn. Okay, and everything here of my logic will be inside this method. This method has to return the net salary. Okay, so the net salary is a big decimal, so the return of my method is a big decimal. And I'm going to remove it from here and remove this part. Okay, so now what we have that the gross salary is greater than 44,000. How do we do that programmatically? We are going to do an else. What is an else? It means that if this condition is false, it will execute the else block of code, not the if. So, which means here that gross salary is more than tax band. And what we'll do here, we have two logics. We have that 44,000 euros will be taxed with 20%. And then we'll have that anything above 44,000 euros will be taxed with 40%. Programmatically, how do we do that? We have to get this part here, which is 44,000 euros times 20%. In this case, we can do something similar here, which is not going to be gross salary. This time it will be the tax band, which is 44,000 euros. So the first part of the pay as you earn, will be the tax band itself multiplied by 0.2, which is the 20%. And then anything above that will be taxed with 40%. So let's create another part, the second part of pay as you earn. And this second part of the pay as you earn will be the gross salary minus the tax band. So we'll start here. Gross salary minus tax band. And this value will multiply by 0.4, which is the 40%. Oops, I did it wrongly. Let me fix that. Okay, so first part pay as you earn is tax band multiplied by 0.2, 20% of the tax band, and then 40% of the gross salary minus the tax band. Okay, now with the first part and second part, the last thing to do, not the last thing, sorry, but the next thing to do is to calculate the pay as you earn, which is the 20% tax and the 40% tax. So to make things simpler, I'll actually, instead of first part pay as you earn, I'll put 20% tax. And here I'll put 40%. Oops, 40% tax. Okay, so now I'll calculate the pay as you earn, which is the 20% tax. 20% tax plus 40% tax. So 20% tax plus add 40% tax. And now the net salary. The salary minus the pay as you earn will be the gross salary minus pay as you earn. I know there are loads of things to improve here in this code. Mainly this is the logic. So let's go to IntelliJ and copy these. Okay, so I created a text calculator main, which is going to be the starting point of my program. Then I'm going to paste here what we created. Okay, we have some problems here. The first problem is this condition. Because this is not an int or a double or a float, it cannot be compared like this. So we have to use the comparison method. So we're going to compare gross salary compared to the tax band. For those who don't know, this method compared to, it returns either 1, 0, or -1. 1 is for greater, 0 is for equal, and -1 is for lesser. Okay, so what we want here is that this is negative, less than 0. So fixed multiply, it doesn't have the minus, it's not minus, it's subtract. Oh yeah, I can't use it like this, I have to create a new method. Sorry, a new object. Minor syntax issues that the IDE can fix. We're going to extract here into a constant because we're going to use it 20%. And we can refactor here to use this 20% instead of creating a new big net small every time. Yeah, and I have to do the same. Can actually duplicate this, and instead of 20% I'll have 40%, and here I'll change to 0.4, and then I use here 40%. You see here that the net salary is grayed. It means that it's not being used, and there's an error here because we're not returning anything. So we can return this, and instead of having to define a new variable here, and the same here. Okay, so we have the function now, but it's not being used anywhere. So let's create a main here to call this function. Okay, so first thing, we have to create an instance of this tax calculator main. And then we're going to use the apply pay as you earn. We have to pass a gross salary. Let's suppose it's for N. We have to pass here her gross salary, which is 35,000 euros. And let's print it. I'll call it on net salary, and I'll print it. On net salary equals, and then we're going to do the same thing for Ben. Except that Ben doesn't, it's not on, it's Ben. Okay, and it's not 35, but it's 55. Okay, now we can run it. Let's see, on net salary is 28,000 and Ben net salary is 41.8 thousand. Let's see if it's the same values. 41, 8,000, 28. Okay, our first part is working. So what you can do now, you can create another method. Instead of apply pay as you earn, you can create apply PRSI, apply USC. You can also create an apply other deductions. Actually, here we only did for a tax band of 44,000. There are all the other tax bands, so you can actually extract these to use other tax bands and receive this. Instead of creating it here, you can receive it as a parameter here. So you can create a calculate tax band or define tax band method based on the person's circumstances, and then you can expand it. But my goal here was to make you have a first step. So if you liked it and you want me to continue this, please put here in the comments what improvements would you like me to do. If you have any doubts, put here in the comments and I can make another video to explain. And if you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with whoever you think might be benefited with these tips.